Hello, all. Today I'd like to talk to you about my favorite David Lynch movie, 2001's Mulholland Drive. I'm not going to do a linear review of the movie because the movie itself isn't linear. As in many Lynch things, there's a very artistic feel to it, and it's not really meant to be a standard Hollywood movie where you have, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and then a coda. Those things do occur in the movie, but not necessarily in that order, and things don't really make a whole lot of sense. I think one of the things I love about the movie is that it's constructed as sort of a dream within a dream. And to elaborate on that just a little bit, the central plot of the movie is that there's an actress named Diane Sullivan, who's played by Naomi Watts, and she is supposed to star in a movie directed by Adam Kesher, played by Justin Theroux, called The Sylvia North Story. Somewhere during the process, possibly due to pressure from the movie's backers, who appear to be organized crime figures, including Michael J. Anderson and Dan Hedaya, they pressure him into accepting another actress named Camilla Rhodes, played by the beautiful Melissa George, to be the star of The Sylvia North Story. Instead, there are some threats that go on, and Adam Kesher is threatened and sort of pressured into accepting Camilla Rhodes into the part instead of Diane Sullivan. And even though he invites Diane to the premiere, which I thought was kind of gauche, and things go from there. Again, I'm not going to go too deeply into the plot. Some things I enjoyed about the movie: I like the fact that Lynch continues to use the color blue as sort of a symbol for death. In the movie, there are several things that are blue that keep coming up. The sign on the Club Silencio is blue neon. When they get inside the Club Silencio, all the seats are blue cloth. When they hear the song Llorando, which is crying in Spanish, by Roy Orbison, sung by Rebecca Del Rio, the spotlight is blue. There's also a woman in the balcony with blue hair, and I should note this is way before the rainbow hair trend. She just happened to have blue hair in that scene again, because I think she was supposed to be sort of a symbol of death, or transition from life into something else. At the end of that sequence, both Rita, who is the false, or I should say dream version, right, idealistic version of Camilla, and Betty, who's the idealized version of Diane, vanish into the blue box. They disappear. Somehow the Club Silencio, and realizing that things are taped, they're not real, they're illusions, makes them realize that they are illusions, and they can't, quote-unquote, live with that. They cease to exist. Hence they go into the blue box. The assassin who Diane hires to kill the real Camilla, the blonde Camilla, gives her a blue key and says, when you find this, it's done. She says naively, what does it open? He just laughs. I think what it opens actually is the box, because it leads to ultimately to Diane Sullivan's death, after she's haunted by these two tiny sort of creatures that come out of the box and start hounding her. And they're two characters we saw at the beginning of the movie were passengers on a plane that was bringing Betty into Los Angeles for the first time. I thought that was interesting. After she sees them, she starts screaming and she blows her brains out. And I don't know why that happened in the sequence. But again, remembering this movie is not meant to be sequential. It's not meant to be in any particular order. It's just quite literally a dream within a dream. There's the dream of the idealized version of Diane, who is Betty Elms, this naive young actress played by Naomi Watts, who has just come to LA and she's auditioning and she's just getting into the business and starting to get excited. And then there's the dream or illusory version of Rita, of Camilla, who after a car accident just stumbles into Betty's apartment and doesn't know who she is, and has lost her memory, and they have this mystery of having to figure out who she is. And she eventually sees a waitress in the restaurant Winky's, and that's a real chain, by the way, Winky's, a chain of diners in LA, and sort of like Denny's, and the name tag on her nameplate is Diane, and that triggers her to remembering the name Diane Sullivan. She and Betty go to visit Diane Sullivan. Of course, she's not there because she can't be. Diane Sullivan is Betty. They can't both be in the same place at once. So they look around her apartment a little bit. There's a red lampshade, which again, red in Lynch's color palette has a tendency to mean something supernatural, something weird, like the red zigzagged carpet in the Black Lodge in the Twin Peaks series. That color stands for something supernatural, something unusual. Also, blue, tends to mean death in Lynch's universe. The Blue Rose murders in Fire Walk with Me. Blue Velvet, where it's the color blue that draws Kyle MacLachlan into this strange underground world of these, kind of demented people. In other areas and other movies, he uses blue sort of in the same way. There's kind of a blue background in Rabbits, which is just a sequence out of Inland Empire. But there's all these sort of blue and red, again, configure a lot in that sequence, which I particularly like, though I thought it was kind of a crime to cover Laura Harring's beautiful face with a rabbit head, because she is drop-dead, knockout, 1940s movie star gorgeous, in my humble opinion. And gives a very terrific performance, I thought, as Rita, the idealized version of Camilla, who Diane invents to be the companion to Betty, her idealized version. Some other kind of things to note. I liked the whole man behind Winky's thing, which is another dream inside the dream, and I think those characters are dream characters too. They're because when the guy sees the man behind Winky's, he drops dead right in the parking lot. And then we also see later on that same creepy, awful man behind Winky's has the blue box that had absorbed the souls of Betty and Rita, the two imaginary versions of Diane Selwyn and Camilla Rhodes. Why he has it, I don't know, but that's kind of an interesting thing. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, the two people who were at the beginning of the movie, the passengers on the flight that Betty came into Los Angeles on, emerge from the blue box and sort of attack Diane Selwyn. She goes crazy and pulls her brains out, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing. Of course, there's also the blue key that the assassin gives her to say that he has completed the job. He's killed Diane, Camilla Rhodes. Some interesting things, some interesting symbols. There's the whole thing with the cowboy and Justin Theroux that I found. The cowboy was played by Billy Ray Cyrus, by the way, which I thought was interesting. Actual cowboys that were playing a cowboy, or cowboy singer anyway. And of course, Michael J. Anderson features in the movie, even though he doesn't say anything. He is best known for playing the quote-unquote backward-speaking dwarf in the Twin Peaks series. And in this movie, he just sits there. He doesn't say anything, which is even more menacing in some ways than when he speaks in Twin Peaks in riddles. Again, one of my favorite movies. I'm not going to try to overly explain it. I don't think it should be overly explained. One of the beautiful things about Lynch's work is that it's open to our own interpretation. Just as if, you go to an art gallery and you look at a painting, well, there is no right or wrong as to what the painting is, unless it's, it's a painting of a bridge. It's obviously a painting of a bridge, but if it's like a blue line and a white background, it can be anything. It could be a bird. It could be a waterfall. It could be the future. Anything you can. It's open to your interpretation, and nobody's right and nobody's wrong. It is what you think it is, and I think that was what his underlying message in Mulholland Drive was. The movie and the story are what you want them to be. They're your dream to interpret.